Basically, I grew up with two manufacturing companies, and one was a one was called Vaco Products Company, which manufactured mechanics tools, primarily screwdrivers, pliers, crimping tools, electrical connectors. And the other company was called Switches Incorporated, which made automotive parts for OEM and aftermarket. And we had different owners in both these companies, but our family was majority owner. And we sold one company in 1980 because of a difference of opinion between some of the owners, and I felt that the easiest thing to do was not to have all this infighting and just sell the company. And the other company I sold in 1986, primarily because of competition from offshore. It wasn't China at that time, it was Taiwan. And looking back was the right decision because most of the hand tool manufacturers have gone out of business since that time, except the very big ones. And we were doing about, if I put both companies together, we were doing around $64 million in revenues with about over 1,000 employees in 6 plants. I got involved in the peer advisory boards when I was accepted into YPO. YPO is Young Presidents Organization, and the criteria is you had to be president of a company for your 40th birthday, and at least have 100 employees and do $10 million of revenue. That was way back when. And I happened to be in the first advisory board that YPO ever formed. And I learned a lot from the interplay with other business owners and getting their thoughts and their experiences. You find that being on a corporate board is different. Being in a peer advisory board, we can't really hold you to any regimen. All we can do is vote and give you, if necessary, give you suggestions, give you comments. People who join these groups really want to have accountability to someone, because when you own a business and you're the major owner, you have accountability only to yourself. So a peer advisory board is basically made up of non-competitive business owners, and there is no concentration of an industry or service, at least in the boards that I conduct. And my belief is that you need people with different thought processes and who think differently. I was incoming president of the Hand Tool Manufacturers of America, and those organizations basically work on the premise of government specifications, what is going to happen with the industry, no trends. But you can't bring up an issue such as my biggest customer is upset with us, and how do we remedy that? I can't bring up the issue that my sales manager has an alcohol problem, and what do I do with that? But those are issues that we can bring up to a peer advisory board because of the confidentiality. When you join a peer board, there is 100% confidentiality. We are very careful as to we select who participates, because one of the aspects of a peer board is that people have to be open to each other, but confidential. It's like going to Las Vegas. What happens in a peer board stays in a peer board. The aha moment basically was twofold. One was for me, and one was the observation of one of the other members in the group, the YPO group, that he wanted to make an investment, and the group basically suggested to him concepts and ideas that would keep him out of the investment, that it wasn't a good deal for him. It was also after I sold my company, is that one of the fellows told me, he said, Ray, be very careful what you do. And he was right, because now you have only cash and no responsibility except yourself. The other aha moment is to myself was when we were talking about a export tax credit that the government was giving. It's no longer valid. And we had talked to our accountants about it, but we were under the impression that we had to cost out all of our export sales and do a lot of bookkeeping transactions in order to achieve the credit. And somebody said, have you checked into the percentage savings? And we found out that we could save 4% of all of our export sales. And at that time, we were doing about $6 million in export sales. So that was a nice $240,000 tax deferral. One of the greatest values of being part of a peer advisory group or a pro group is that you get the interplay of others. You get their experience, you get their thoughts. You have over 200 years of management experience in a meeting, and therefore people approach your issues, if you bring up an issue, from a different perspective, and it makes you think differently. So I think the biggest value is, number one, it makes you think. As a member, if you think you know it all, you won't be a member, because we don't want people who think they know it all. We want people who want to learn and who also want to trade and express their experience and knowledge. The biggest benefit is really learning from others and have the camaraderie of others, because they're in it for you. They're there to support you and help you. The question comes up is, what issues did not work that the group suggested? To be honest, there's very few. And the solution is not only one solution, it's normally an amalgamation of the various thoughts that the others give you. I would say that the one solution is that one person, one of our groups, wanted to send a person over to Africa. He got an email and thought he could get millions of dollars. And the group suggested to him very forcefully that it was a fraud. And he didn't go. And basically, I think we saved him a lot of money. Maybe we saved his general manager who was supposed to go. The items that don't succeed, they may not succeed directly the way that is suggested, because you may find a variation, an alternative to it, but it makes you think as to how to move forward. Why people participate or join these type of groups is it's very alone. It's alone at the top. You really have no one that you can talk to get information. If you have an issue and you talk to your sales manager, you'll get a sales point of view. If you talk to your production manager, you get a production point of view. You don't really get people who have a point of view which is varied and outside of your experience area. So when you talk to your family, it's very difficult, because there's an emotional tie in talking to your family. Many people do not want to talk to their friends because they don't want to tell them their difficulties. So the aspect of a peer board is that you can really let down your hair and put your issue on the table. I had one member that he just became the president. His uncle was a president before, and they took a physical inventory with an outside CPA firm, and they found out that their inventory was short by several $1 million, which meant in the past they were not taking an accurate physical inventory. What happened? The bank wanted to call their loan. So it's very difficult to tell somebody, the bank wants to call my loan. This was a case where the group really gave their emphasis and their interest to how we could save this company. And that's the benefit. People who want to give their thoughts, their interest, their support to help you. The question comes up is, what do you mean by peer? Well, first of all, it doesn't mean the place you tie your boat. Peers are people who have experience similar to yours, people who basically walk in your shoes. They have employees. How do they handle employees? They have responsibility to their family, and more importantly, they have a responsibility to their employees' families. So you want to work with people that are knowledgeable, who can make a contribution, And these people are your peers. People ask me in these groups, what am I? And I tell them I'm the facilitator, but more importantly, I'm the mentor and tormentor. And by mentor, basically, I've run bigger businesses than most of these companies that participate. So I'm a mentor from that experience. And also, since I facilitated over 1,000 business meetings of peer boards, I've learned a lot, and I can pass on these thoughts that I've learned in addition to what is gathered from the group. The tormentor is that when you say you want to do something, it's my job to move you forward to get it done. What you find is that a lot of business owners or people in business get a satisfaction from being doers. It's not doing, it's accomplishment. And my job is to make sure that you accomplish what you want to accomplish. You find that as businesses grow, you're in a changing environment. And because you're successful at level one, doesn't necessarily mean you be successful at level two. And especially with people who are very dominant in their business. To really grow the business, you have to have very competent people in key positions, which means that you have to be willing to delegate and also give them the responsibility of achievement. A lot of businesses, the owner doesn't have that skill or they don't want to change. And what happens is those businesses either stagnate or the owner gets to a point where they just want to sell. Or worse off, the business starts to fail. If you're at a stage in business where you must hand off responsibility and authority, if you're not willing to do that, it becomes difficult for the company to be really successful. I have one member now who has grown the business very good. This is a lady, she's a dynamo, but she has difficulty in relinquishing the responsibility and authority. So she has major turnover. And if I ask her, why do you have turnover? She says, it's me. And she knows the issue. She just can't find it within herself to change her DNA. So if you want to be successful and grow the business beyond a certain stage, you have to be willing to hand off responsibility and authority.